Hello, Lions fans, and thanks for taking the time to watch our next Lions Lowdown segment as we discuss the 2014 women's soccer season with head coach Danny Longo. Thanks again for joining me, Danny.
Thanks, Jack. No problem.
Coach, what was your main takeaway from the women's season this year? Your girls narrowly missed out on the playoffs on the last weekend of the season.
You know what? I think we've really made a big jump. I know not wins again, unfortunately. I think finally it's going to happen next year. We have a lot of kids returning. But overall for this 2014 year, I think we were very competitive. There were few and far between games that we weren't in it the entire game, that being Stonehill and the Bridgeport game second half this past weekend, unfortunately. But overall, I think we've closed the gap a bit to the teams at the top of the league, as well as from what we've been in the past. Like I also said earlier in the year, this is probably the best group that I've coached on the women's side since I've been here.
All right, Danny, and I know we've discussed your two goalies this year, but can you please talk about the job that Paige Salmon did this year, as she will take over as the full-time goalkeeper next year, assuming, since Nicole DellaPorta is graduating?
Paige did a great job. You know, early on, she started. They split time, actually, the first couple of games. Actually, the first game. And then after that, Paige sort of won the job a little bit. Not that she won it, but she did well in the games that she was in, and we didn't move at halftime. And then Nikki came in, played 2 games in a row, played 2 big games against LIU Post and Queens. And then they started splitting after that. So Paige, basically, you know, she's not going to be a freshman again next year. She's got a lot of playing time against a lot of very good teams. So next year she'll be, definitely at this point our starting goalkeeper, and I have all the confidence in the world for her to be our keeper for the next 3 years.
Now, Coach, I'm not sure if you could limit this to just one player or if you want to talk about a few of them, but who would you say is the most improved player after the conclusion of this season?
The one that stands out, I think, straight away to anybody on the coaching staff is Danielle Valente, we call her Danny. She came in as a highly touted recruit for us, and I think struggled a bit as a freshman, which happens quite often to kids that come in, have a lot of somewhat pressure, or they feel their own pressure, whether it's from myself, anyone on the coaching staff, or just themselves or their family. So she struggled a bit last year. But still was good. And then this year came in, and she's been our most aggressive or best kid going forward. Holds the ball great. Had a great sophomore year. And then the other 2 kids in the back, I think Gabby Batista and Courtney Noakes made huge jumps from their freshman year to their sophomore year. Both of them played a lot of minutes as freshmen and did great jobs, but I think the 2 of them stepped up big time for their sophomore years.
All right, and last one for you, Danny. What does your women's squad have to do in the spring season as well as the off season to earn that spot in the ECC tournament next year?
We just got to work as hard as we did this past spring. I think we worked very hard this past spring. We had a decent amount of kids coming back. Now this year we have a lot of kids coming back, a lot of good core kids coming back, a lot of freshmen, sophomore, and juniors that really played a lot of minutes, and they're going to be, an integral part of next year's team. So if we get after it like we did this past spring, I think we should definitely be in the mix again. I'm not saying we're in the top 4, but we finished 5, and no one's happy finishing 5th. So our goal is to finish 1st, and we need to change things for us to get there.
All right, Danny, thanks again for taking some time out with us. We appreciate it. Fans, stay tuned to MolloyLions.com as well as at Molloy Lions on Twitter for all the women's soccer programs, off-season news, and notes.
Thanks, Trey.
Welcome back, Lions fans. We are now joined by senior midfielder Allison Sloper and senior goalkeeper Nicole DellaPorta from the Molloy women's soccer team as we continue our women's soccer wrap-up show. Nicole, Allison, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Allison, we'll start with you. Of course, it was a tough way to end the season with the loss at Bridgeport. You guys were inches away from a postseason berth. With 4 days passing since that game and having some time to think about it, how do you reflect on this past season?
I think we played very well this season. We started off in a little bit of a slump. We didn't do as well in the beginning of the season as we expected or wanted to, but towards the end of the season, I think we really all came together and did the best we could. I think teams underestimated us in the beginning of the season, and being a senior, I think there were 7 of us that we all had a different motivation to play, thinking that every game could be our last game.
All right, and now Nicole, first question for you. You and rookie goalkeeper Paige Salmon pretty much split every game in goal this year, playing a half each. What was that experience like for you? And also, being the veteran of the team, did you kind of lend some guidance to the freshmen?
I mean, the experience is definitely a lot different from me. When I came in as a freshman, I basically started and played every minute of every game unless there was an injury or some other thing going on. So coming in senior year, we knew that Paige was going to play. We knew that Paige was a great keeper. So I expected to get less time. So I'd just say the experience was definitely a lot different than my previous years. But being older than her and having played these teams before, especially at the later games when I was playing the first half, she was playing the second. Before she went in, I would just be like, hey, this team normally shoots from far, so you have to watch out for this. Or, you know, wind's bad against you today, watch for this. This player is going to be shooting from here or passing here. So there's a lot of exchange in that way.
All right, back to Allison. What was your experience while you were at Molloy and part of the women's soccer program?
I loved every second being part of the team. If I could, I would play another 4 years. And I think being with a small school and being a student athlete, you get a different experience than just being a student. And from the friends I've made from this team and all the experiences, like, I wouldn't change anything for the world.
All right, and last one for Nicole before I let you guys go. Kind of a similar question. What was your fondest memory while playing soccer at Molloy?
Obviously, we have to go with my freshman year, her sophomore year. We made it to playoffs, and in the semifinals, we beat Bridgeport in penalty kicks. And I always say that was my shining moment of soccer because I saved 3 of the PKs. So I definitely have to say that that is my fondest memory.
When they were the number one.
Yeah, they were number 1 in the nation. So that was a great memory.
All right, guys, thanks for taking some time out today to sit down with us. We appreciate it. And fans, that was Nicole DellaPorta and Allison Sloper of your Molloy women's soccer team. Please stay tuned to MolloyLions.com for all the off-season news and notes relating to the Lions program.